We've got ourselves a title race in Serie A. 3 points separate the top three. Juve, at bottom of the table, SPAL. They'll not have a problem with that, will they?
Well, no. The answer is no. Now, I looked for reasons. I said, okay, let me break it down. Let's see if Juventus indeed can drop some points against SPAL. And I looked at every single angle there is, and the answer is no. That's it. That's all there is to it. SPAL just not good enough. Ronaldo's back as well, right?
Yeah. As my mum said, if you've got nothing better to add, just keep quiet. So I will. Juve. Now, Fiorentina and Milan. The final game on Saturday. It's a Saturday night game in Italy. They got the job done recently. Fiorentina at home, they've picked up of late under their new coach. What do you think?
It's interesting because you feel like Fiorentina should be a team that should be getting more results than they are.
100%.
And that there is a little bit of underachieving going on with Fiorentina. Certainly was early on in the season. Coaching changed now. They seem to be a little bit better. I think Fiorentina at home could just get enough of AC Milan. But, hey, you can never deny the Zlatan factor. Unless he doesn't play.
Right. La Viola at home to continue their recent good form. Genoa, Lazio, and if you're in the US, that is our live game this weekend on ESPN 2 at 6:25 in the morning.
And who's calling that game? Hey, that guy.
Yeah, early alarm there. Great win over Inter.
Yes.
But you've got to get points against them as well because they're struggling right now.
I think Lazio are in the run for in the long term. It's not just a temporary thing. I think there's a lot to like about this team and attacking. They're getting a lot of productivity from Ciro Immobile, but there's also other players that you think, well, where did this guy come from? And Caicedo all of a sudden scoring important goals for them. And they're just players like that in and around Lazio that you just go, maybe it's their year.
Before we get to the last two, them or them as their closest challengers?
I still think Inter. Yeah. But I think Lazio, what they're going to do is that they're going to take points away from one of them and then put them out of their misery because, as they did against Inter,
exactly.
Then if indeed they're taking points away from Inter, then Juventus is thriving. Lazio is going to be the spoiler, to be quite honest with you.
And they both have to go to Juventus, who've got them at home. Did them a couple of weeks ago and they won at Napoli and they were good, well organised, against a Roma side that were okay in midweek in the Europa League, but they're not firing on all cylinders right now.
No, but they're sort of in and around that sort of last position for Champions League, and they seem to be the team that is destined to finish in that place, or at the very least compete for that place. I want to take Roma slightly.
It's one of those games, isn't it? It's a kind of 1-0, 2-1. Atalanta still favourites to finish in the top four, but you're right. If they went on a run at the end of last season and nearly got in. Inter against Sampdoria. We're in a position right now in Serie A where the two teams in Genoa might end up going down. They're both struggling.
This is a tricky one for Inter, and I'm going to tell you why. They're going to know what the result of Juventus is.
Yes.
They're also going to know what the result from Lazio is. And that brings a little bit of pressure because we're saying Juventus is going to win, Lazio is going to win. They have to keep up. I look at Inter as a team that is right now at a breaking point, at a point in which you have to stay in touch with Juventus, stay in touch with Lazio. You cannot allow this gap to widen any further. You cannot drop points. You have to win. That puts a little bit of pressure on Inter, but Sampdoria is simply just not good enough. So, for whatever it's worth, just take Inter.
I will. But if they play the way they did in the first half against Milan, then they'll not be challenging Juventus. Much better in the second half. Big weekend of action in Serie A. ESPNFC.com for full coverage.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.